All right. Well, hello, and thank you for joining me, Anthony, for
Course,
a
thank you.
podcast. Yeah. I was thinking about how I met you like a year ago, January, and you were in a very different place. Can you maybe share a little bit about like where you were, what you were looking for, and how you found uh, the work of access consciousness and me?
Yeah, so I was going through separation with my ex-wife at the time. I think I was about maybe a month or two in at that point. Um, I didn't really know where to start. Didn't really know what to work on, how to kind of get out of my funk. It was, a rough start. A lot of crying like every single day. Um, and I kind of found some podcasts where I replaced a lot of like listening to music with podcasts. At some point, I ended up hearing Danny Morel, the higher self, and they had Dane on there doing an interview. And as he was going through the podcast, something really resonated with me just about his story in particular and some of the
Mm.
stories that he was telling through Access Consciousness. And I don't remember the exact part that hit me, but it was literally a punch in my heart. Something inside me broke, and I was like, "Wow, I need to try this. This sounds absolutely amazing. Um, I have to figure this out." So that's when I started doing a little research, and I found you. Um, and shortly after, scheduled a bar session with you. Um,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and you were saying like when he kept talking about the bars, you were like there was this energy. And that's one of the things that I find really interesting is the people who are really drawn to this work, there's this curiosity and there's this energy, but it's like so undefined and they're like they want to put it into words and like figure it out, but this the energy that gets you is the thing that draws you in, and it's your knowing that there's something else possible that you maybe haven't explored yet.
it
So,
was it
yeah,
was
I think.
actually really interesting. Like I've done a decent amount of hallucinogenics in my younger years, and a lot of mushrooms and kind of like exploring my inner self and really trying to tap heart and energies and just feeling and knowing things.
Mm,
And as I heard that podcast, I got hit in the heart, and at some point I realized like I've done this work before. I somewhere along the way lost that connection. I somehow severed it. And going through Access Consciousness opened all this back up for me to be able to refeel the things that I felt and then further develop them a little bit more, right? And I think that's kind of what this whole last year has been is really getting back in touch with the person that I used to be
mm,
and dissolving the identity who I've built up over the last 10 years or so.
yeah. And I know that a lot of people try different types of drugs and alcohol and stuff to kind of um, deal with life and the stresses and the anxieties that they're aware of. And it's usually the people that have this exponential sensitivity or ability of awareness and they don't know how to use it yet. So it's like you try to mask it with these other things. But in the process, you lose yourself, even though you think that you're getting more in touch with yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and that has been one of the things that I've noticed. I've been a habitual pot smoker since I was 13. I'm now 41. And at the time that I started practicing bars, I just stopped, simply stopped. I had it, in my truck and I had it at home. And I realized after a couple days of doing bars, like huh, I haven't smoked pot in a couple days now. That's weird. Like I normally smoke multiple times a day. And over the course, I was like, maybe I can go a week, maybe I can go 2 weeks. And next thing you know, it expanded into a couple months. And now it's been about a year and a half now that I have not smoked. Um, and I don't feel the need to do that. I've been around it and I'm exposed to it, but I don't feel drawn into it anymore
Mm.
because
Mhm.
that was my old identity. As I've gone through access consciousness, I've built a new identity. I've become more aware of my own feelings, and I don't need to use that anymore to sort of hide behind, cover up, or as a tool to tap back in. I've been able to build the skills with access to tap again without the use of any other substances. And it's been extremely transformative for me to just be in this new healthy place in my life.
Yeah, that's so cool. I know many people that I've worked with have said that they've either quit smoking, excuse me, pot or cigarettes. And it's just this natural thing that occurs. Hmm.
Yeah, the other thing that I was very aware of as well is I've pretty much been living off of Tums for the entirety of my life. Multiple times a day, I constant acid indigestion, heartburn. It was just a normal daily routine for me. And as I started going through access consciousness, along with the pot usage decreasing, I found that I didn't have a need for Tums anymore. My stomach issues just went away magically, and I had no explanation for it because I wasn't even at the point yet where I was altering my diet to make more healthy changes. I was still
Mm.
eating junk food. I was still eating with my normal habits late at night and early in the morning and fried foods and all of those things. Um, but something about the shift in consciousness and stepping into a new reality for me just cleared it. And I haven't
That's
had to use Tums since.
wow. Wow. That's huge. You know, it's funny because Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, often says that healing is a byproduct of consciousness. It just naturally occurs. And um, I just think that's so cool. Like you don't have to focus on fixing all these things, just simply becoming more aware, becoming more present, making different choices in your life, and shedding some of the old points of view that aren't serving you any longer. Shifts your physical reality as well.
Yeah, yeah. I have been curious about how much blockages, energy blockages, past toxicity that I've had in my system, that going through access has relieved and got me out of the thought process of this is something that I need to do. This is something that I have to do. It's part of my personality. It's just a daily regimen to where I was able to expand into something newer, fresher, and more healthy at this point.
Yeah, so you went from having one bars session to then taking the Access Bars class. And you really reached for that. I was going to Florida, and you were like, I can't wait until you get back. I'm going to meet you in Florida. Oh, God, that was so fun.
Yeah, and I think I only did one bars session before I actually went to the class.
Hmm.
Something about that first session was just monumental to me. Um, I literally like two things in specific. One was I didn't really have any idea about the points yet, right? Like what points correlate to what different parts.
Hmm.
Um, and I recall you having your hands in a certain point, and I could just feel this big welling in my chest of sorrowness, heaviness. I started crying in front of you, and I just thought how weird it is that we're not talking, we're not going through therapy, we're not digging deep on anything, but I'm sitting here crying in front of a complete stranger who I just met today. Um, and then at some point, literally within a second, it flipped into this just happy, joyful expression of just abundance for me. And I was like, this is so weird. And I told you, and you said, oh, well, it's actually weird because I'm on sadness and joy at this particular point. And I was like, that's literally what I felt at both moments. And it just completely
Yeah.
flip flopped for me. Um,
Wow.
so that was like, go ahead.
Like a lot of times people think that the crying is like this sadness thing, which it can be in life. But when you're having your bars run, it's the body releasing what has been locked in. And that's exactly what the bar's points are doing of sadness and joy. They're releasing everything that we've locked in about sadness. And a lot of it is the rightness of sadness and the wrongness of joy, because so many people have been told to be quiet and simmer down, when you're a little kid and don't be so happy,
Hmm.
which is
Hmm.
really bizarre. Because then when you get to be older, you're like unhappy, and that's okay. So it undoes a lot of that training.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think the other point too, like I specifically remember this is literally after our bar session, taking my first step outside. And it was just this amazing expansiveness for me. It's like in the movies where they kind of do that zoom in on the character and then everything else like blows up behind you. It was literally that to me. It wasn't me shrinking or minimizing, it was the entire world just opening up to me. And I felt so free at that point. And that's when I was just like, I'm hooked. This is it. This is my thing. That's when I decided, okay, yeah, I'm going to Florida. We're gonna figure this out. I'm gonna become a facilitator. I want to learn how to do this stuff. And I want to practice this like on a regular daily routine.
Awesome. Yeah, it is really interesting when that occurs. And, you know, over the days of the week, let's say you're doing bars maybe once a week or once every other week, the things start to pile up again. And also just being around other people at work or in traffic, you can take on a lot of that stress and anxiety that you're perceiving around you. So it does build up. And so being able to exchange bar sessions with other people or in a group or even run them on yourself can really help you maintain that space and keep the lightness and let like keep expanding and keep it going and keeping reaching new possibilities.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love the group that we have going for our weekly trades. It's it's very therapeutic. Not just the acts, not just running the bars, but being around people of the same likeness, the same awareness. The amount of knowledge that we exchange while we're just having chit chats has been so beneficial for me in applying it to daily life, right? Um, like you said, it piles up, it compounds, and it's not something that you're always aware of because you're running from one thing to the next, multitasking at work, trying to get to the gym, take care of the kids, deal with divorce papers and all these other things, and you're not really aware of anything. But taking that moment to slow down and raise your consciousness to be aware of where you're at, what you're dealing with, what needs to happen, and then just being present with everything, not actually doing it but just being present with it, that it's there. You're going to get to it. It's going to happen. It doesn't necessarily need to be right now. And the anxiety, the stress, everything just kind of melts away to the point where, like, I often leave our groups in such a calm, sedated, peaceful fashion where the first couple bar session that we were going through, like I would do a video recording on the way home because it's a 40-minute drive. And I would do a
Mhm.
little video journal um, each time I left. And I noticed at certain times my voice would drop so low in octave because I was just that relaxed. I was slow, I was methodical, I was deep, and I was just peaceful. And I just love that feeling to be able to re-experience that over and over and over again, pretty much on demand. Is just amazing.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And I mean, for me, with all these years of doing it, it's like there's deeper and deeper and deeper levels of peace and greater and greater levels of awareness. So it's not boring and you're like, oh gosh, I'm going to do this again. But it's like, wow, how much more is possible?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Um,
so, it's really hard to explain what the bars is and what it does because for everybody they're going to have a different sense and awareness. Some people don't really feel anything, they just get relaxed and they're like, oh well, that was interesting. But still it shifts things in their life. And, as you've moved through your divorce, you were separated, you weren't sure if you were getting divorced or not. You were like trying to keep it together. I really sense a change in your level of confidence and your choice for your life. What other tools besides the bars do you attribute to that?
Um, So I think there's been quite a lot, both access and not. I do take part in another men's group who is specific around separation, divorce, etc. I've done a couple cacao ceremonies, sound baths. Recently tried cupping for the first time to detoxify your body, stuff like that. So I tend to find that everything is helpful, but I really focus on the things that bring me in energetically. And I think that's where Access has really brought me to have the awareness about the energy that I'm getting pulled into,
Mm-hmm.
um, to guide me a little bit more in some of my other modalities and things that I like to try. But
Mm-hmm.
in terms of Access, I think one of the biggest things for me has been the clearing statement. Um, I've repeated that to a few people along the way. Two of my buddies have also been going through divorce and separation, and I've repeated the clearing statement to them. And really, the thing that hits home for them is usually no right, no wrong, no good, no bad.
Yeah.
And that just kind of opens up possibilities for people because I think it's always so, as we go through this process of divorce, people want to latch on to certain aspects and say, well, she did this, or this is what happened, and it's so wrong of her, or how could she do this?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're able to step back and give it peace, give it awareness, give it allowance, it has such, I wouldn't say less effect, but it has just more possibilities. Um, and I think that's been the biggest thing for me is like, it was so hard for me trying to label everything, attach a significance to everything, and then being able to step back and say, well, you know what? This is an opportunity for change. This is an opportunity for growth. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it hurts, but these are my feelings. I respect my feelings. I'm going to honor my feelings and then be able to operate on a different premise of this is part of my growth. This is part of my journey. And regardless of what happens outside of me, I'm choosing to align myself where I feel aligned. And that to me has been the biggest freeing factor of for me to take my journey, to take the steps forward. Um, there was definitely a few months there where I was, fighting for the relationship, fighting for the marriage. I wanted to make things work out. And at some point I realized like this is not healthy for me. And I had to make the choice for myself. And that is what has led me into this completely new reality for me. It's literally like I feel like I've switched tracks. You know what I mean? The train track was going this way, it's split, and boom, I'm on this
Yeah.
track, and I'm feeling so healthy and confident about it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I know that can't remember how long after your bars class you did the foundation, and
correct.
that's a 3.5 day workshop, and that has a lot of clearings. And I feel like it's like we grow up trying to make our way here, trying to do what's right, trying to not be wrong. And we make all these choices. And then it's like, is it really you? Is it really your life? Is it really congruent with what you truly desire? And when I got to a point um, in my life where it's like I created everything, I had the house, I had the kids, I had the business, I had the husband, it all looked good, but that was on the surface, and underneath, I was like trying to almost perform this perfection of what you're supposed to do, but it wasn't real. Like some of it was what I wanted, but some of it was not. And so when you start to open up to what is it that you truly desire, and what is it that you've created as you that's actually not you. There's a huge amount of not you that most people are
Mhm.
walking around functioning from. And the foundation really helps you remove that foundation of lies and limitations and allows the real you to emerge and include you in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think one of the other things from that I took away from the foundation was really once we started diving into the spells, right? The meanings behind the words that we give them. Being able to dive into the dictionary, really kind of piece apart some words, the functionality of those words and the spells that they cast on us in our lives has changed my terminology in the way that I speak to people and to myself as well. And it's allowed me so much more free space to be able to use certain words that do not confine me, that do not confine the way that I communicate with other people. And it's been really, really interesting to see how just talking a little bit differently, taking some words out of my vocabulary and replacing them with others has been so freeing, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have some kids. And how have they been through this process? Because I know a lot of people are really afraid to make a relationship change because of the kids.
Yeah, and that was a big factor in what I was deciding at that point. Um, but really, for me, it was the changing point was we were still nesting together. We were separated, doing our separate lives, but still nesting in the same house. And I started to realize that my kids are going to normalize two parents who are not affectionate with each other, who don't
Mhm.
communicate. And I didn't want that for my kids. I want them to understand what a healthy relationship is. And even if it's not with a relationship with someone else, a relationship with yourself. So I've been very focused over this last year to show them what a relationship with myself looks like and not necessarily with someone else. They have brought up a few times, well, Dad, I don't want you to be sad. I don't want you to feel lonely. And I've really been able to slow down, take the time and explain to him like how happy I am right now to have this relationship with just myself and not needing someone else to compliment me or to carry me. And I think that's been pretty powerful for them as well. Um, the other thing too is I've been using the bars on my daughter as well. She's 6 years old and she absolutely loves it to the point where she will often come home from school and Dad, do the head massage thing on me again. Um, and it gets her to slow down. It gets her to be patient. It gets her to just be calm. Um, Definitely helps before bedtime for sure.
Mhm.
So that's one
Yeah.
of the times that we regularly use it. But it's just been interesting to see someone who doesn't have the judgments that we get as we grow up
Yeah.
fall into this and how they experience and receive. Um, I'm very much excited to continue this path with my daughter. I want to start using it on my son, but he's just a little too rambunctious right now. He's typical little boy. He's 4,
Yeah. Yeah.
so he's all about his Hot Wheels and dinosaurs. And I want to start it on him soon, but I'm going to give him a little bit more time. But it's been nice to have someone at home that I can practice this with as well, and someone who is so willing to receive. And it's made great progress for her, I think, as well in terms of she does experience a little bit of anxiety. We often do refer to her as one of the star childs. She has a lot of emotional intellect to the point where she's helped me out through a few situations where my dog died and some other stuff. And she was so emotionally mature to be able to help me through those situations. I'm like, how is a 6-year old doing this for a 41-year-old? This is amazing. Um,
It's
but I think
evolution.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
imagine what it would have been like to see our parents choosing and including themselves and being, vulnerable, being honest with themselves, creating relationships the way we know now is possible from that strength and not needing somebody else to fulfill something, but they're adding to your life or
hmm
you're happy on your own. And it would just be such a different world. And I get that we're getting there. I know my kids started when they were 3 and 6. I was doing their bars all the time, and now they're in their late 20s, and they don't give themselves up in relationship. It's really remarkable to see that. And the level of maturity and the willingness to be happy and to not give up on yourself to make somebody else happy.
Right. Right. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I think that is very common with, I want to say a lot of people, right? But I
that's
do
how we
feel,
get into all these divorces.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. And I mean, from what I've experienced in my other men's group, you know what I mean? It obviously there's a bias there because we're all men, we're all high performers. And I think, you know, performance really ends up becoming this hindrance where you're overperforming for other people and you lose sight of your own goals, you lose sight of your own track, your own progress, your own journey. And
mm,
I think that's where the divide starts to happen a little bit in some of these relationships.
yeah,
Um, so being able to not give up yourself and being able to stay strong, that's that's the masculinity, right?
yeah,
That's the path. That's what people attach to is when you can be whole, that's where the respect comes from because you're not doing the performance to appease other people. You're doing the performance because this is my integrity. This is my authenticity. And I think that's where the attraction really stays alive if we can keep that.
yeah. And like the piece of consciousness where it's not them or you, it's you include you and include them in your choices. So it we call it in Access the kingdom of we. So you're
Mhm.
not just, a lot of people do that pendulum swing of, people pleaser and then screw everybody else. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And there's this space in the middle where you're including you, you're also including your awareness of other people, and then you choose from the space of non-judgment. What's this going to turn out if I choose this, and what would it look like if I choose that? And you're making more conscious choices. You're being aware and not stuffing your emotions and not disregarding yourself. And you're also not disregarding the people in your life. So it's really different.
It is, and it's absolutely lovely. I couldn't say enough great things. I'm sure we could do this all day long and just and continue going, but
Our time
I
is up. So
no,
thank
um,
you.
yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah. And um, if people have questions, please write in. There's just so much to share and there's so much possible. I know when I was going through my separation and divorce, there was nothing out there. So it's awesome that there are resources now, and find it, reach out, try whatever feels light.
And I will say, even outside of divorce and separation, now that I'm a year and a half out, I'm finding all of this so useful in terms of now dating and just being myself again, not even dating, just being myself and being present with myself. It's been just so comforting and confidence building for myself.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yay. Well, I'm so grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being out
Choosing.
there and doing what you do.
Thanks. All right. See you soon.
All right. See ya.